We'll call the meeting to order. First will be public comment. You're the only public here. You're the only public here, so. Okay. Next meeting date, November 11th.
We could tentatively keep that date, but I know that's right about the final budget time. So I don't know what other meetings might be scheduled.
And also Veterans Day.
Uh,
So all the federal staff.
Yeah,
So do we want to look at maybe the week before, November 4th?
that's election day.
Oh, any other day that week of the 9th? Week after the 18th?
Yeah, if anybody have any preferences? Do it on the 10th.
10th?
Yeah. Find a million reasons why we can't later. Approval of the minutes from July 8th. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. And approval report.
Okay, one of them was in your packet, emails. I forgot to include the one from August. But I did put it in the packet that was handed out there, so you do have both of those payment approval reports. The one from August, it's some equipment, the CP Designs, that's it's called a weed wrench. It's made for pulling out larger invasive species like buckthorn. We have that now at the office that we can loan out to folks that are doing buckthorn control.
Bunch of that today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some charges there from when I was in Madison for the land and water plan reimbursements, a reimbursement to the producer-led group, that's the Flambeau Valley Watershed Group. Reimbursement to USDA for wildlife damage, and then just the phone charges. So that's the August report. September one is mainly well abandonments, well decommissionings, reimbursements, and just some supplies. And I will send around the sheet to sign, the ones to sign here.
What did APHIS do?
That's the wildlife damage program. We get a quarterly
Oh,
statement.
Motion approved. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Can line our speakers up, I guess. Some of these papers.
So wildlife damage.
Yep.
I see we need to update.
Yeah, so yes, first order of business, I'd like to introduce James Doss. He is the new wildlife damage technician for Rusk and Sawyer counties. So he did get an exemption to the federal hiring freeze, allowing us to hire for some critical positions, which this was one of them. So James has been on for about a month and a half or so now. Came on at a pretty difficult time in the season when we get really busy trapping and relocating bears for about the last month and a half. We've moved about 250 or so out of the counties that we do the trapping in, which is the third highest volume since we started in 2019 with Sawyer County. So I'm very busy, but James is here. He's up to the task. We've been doing good work here the last month and a half. So I just wanted to bring him to the committee, and you guys can associate a face and a name.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Where the majority going to?
Clam Lake.
I'm like,
Yeah, it's a good spot. No corn up there. A lot of hound hunters.
Yeah, I see the
Nest.
the traps go by the house just about every day.
August was really busy. It's winding down pretty rapidly now.
How do you spell your last name?
DOSS.
oh, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So yeah, other than that, do have several other items here for your consideration. I guess the first one that we could tackle would be the budget for 2026. And, not sure how familiar everybody is with this budget. It's pass-through funding from the state. It's a zero levy. Doesn't impact the county financially in any way. We send a bill to the conservation department. It's the county is contracted with to administer the program on the county's behalf. Nick will then send a reimbursement request to the state. I don't know if you do that quarterly or.
I usually do it.
Yeah, okay. So fully reimbursable to the county. This year, there was a couple $1,000 increase over the 2025 budget. Most of that was congressionally mandated cost of living raises. So I guess if you guys have any questions on the particulars of this, do my best to answer them. There are two different budget sheets here. The bottom line item is the same on both of them, but the state has a different line item requirement than the federal government does. So that's why it's broken up a little differently, but same budget.
Anybody have any question? It's not.
That being the case, I would request that the county sign and date. If you need a motion to approve. And I do have the hard copy here for you. Oh, you got one.
Do you care to make a motion before I put my name to this so I don't get in trouble?
1 and 2, first and second, yeah.
Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And then, so I need a signature on the first page up on the top. Also, second page, same location, please.
Just go ahead then.
Second item would be to set the prices for the year. I did include or send a mix supplemental information form about the sources that I drew these proposed prices from. At the county's discretion on what they want to set the prices at, but what I proposed is that I feel a good starting point. It's the yearly average. The only two commodities that I anticipate that we may receive reimbursement requests for wildlife damage from would be corn and soybeans. And so I've set the initial proposal at $3.98 a bushel for corn and $9.70 a bushel for soybeans, which is the yearly average.
Anybody have any questions on that? Motions, in order? Find it?
Yep, I'm just,
Waiting. Motion? Motion made, second,
Fine, second.
discussion. Stop laughing down there. You're gonna get in on this yet. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And then the final one is that statute and administrative code requires the county to set an end date for which appraisal can be requested for wildlife damage in the county. That can be either after the 90% harvest date for each commodity has occurred or is projected to occur. That information can be pretty difficult to come by based on planting, scheduled requirements varying in the spring. It has to be prior to the start of winter. So historically, we've just set it for the last day of fall, which would be September 20th, which I again recommend this year be the last day that an appraisal can be requested.
Motion,
I'll make a motion.
second,
I'll second it.
discussion. And say aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
And that would be it for me, unless you guys have any additional questions, be happy to answer them if I can.
So this one,
Yeah.
are these same people every year or?
For the most part, these are all familiar faces. We do have several new enrollees this year. Jarek Kowalski, he's a new individual. Jennifer and Roxanne Van Dorn, new individuals. But yeah, most of these are pretty regular. Got back in this year that haven't been in for several years, but yeah, usually it's the same people.
Is it, and they can enroll up until December 20th? Is that what we should?
Yeah, they can request an appraisal up until December 20th. Their eligibility for a crop damage reimbursement, though, hinges upon them notifying us within 2 weeks of the start of damage. So unlikely that somebody that wants to enroll late in the year would be eligible for a claim, but they're always eligible for abatement. If somebody put up some stored feed here this fall and a deer walked over the top of the bag and caused a bunch of spoilage or something like that, they would be eligible for a claim. But this list probably won't change too much from what you see right now.
So then will this be on budget? Like, is this what we were expecting?
Pretty close. So the 2026 budget towards the bottom there, you'll see that it says we expect to assist 25 growers with damage. I mean, this is 24 right now. We're actually going to enroll another individual this week that has bear damage. Wait for a claim, but we can still trap and relocate a few bears for him. So I mean, yeah, that's pretty darn close for just a guesstimate of how many people are going to be assisting in any given year. But it doesn't really impact the budget one way or the other.
I would add that both USDA and DNR has been real good about, you know, if for some reasons, something goes over budget or there's a big expense, they've been really good about doing amendments and being able to cover those overages.
What's the difference between an Act 82 and a WM40?
Yeah, good question. So an Act 82 permit. So the program is funded by hunting license sales. So typically somebody wants into the program and they want to be reimbursed for the damage, it has to be open to the public. So a WM40 permit, the property has to be open to the public. They're required, and a WM40 is established once somebody the previous year has reached $1,000 or greater in deer damage. They're automatically required to have a permit in their hands for deer by February 15th if they want to maintain claims eligibility, just to give them the opportunity to get ahead of the damage. Act 82, the farmer only gets the permit. The property remains closed to the public for deer hunting, but they're not eligible for a claim. So I guess the main difference between the two is WM40 you can get a claim, Act 82 they don't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On that, anything else?
That's it for us.
Thanks. Both your
Thanks,
comments.
guys.
Thank you.
You're up.
So USDA NRCS updates, so Natural Resources Conservation Service, I have a FY25 program roundup. So I'm the supervisor across Russ, Sawyer, Taylor, and Price. So I'm gonna hit you with some top line numbers and then what Russ County portion of that was for this year. So for the regional conservation partnership program, RCPP, we funded 11 contracts total for 92,187. Russ County received one of those contracts for 4,551. Equip overall, we funded 46 contracts to the tune of $2.3 million. So $2,302,904. Russ County had right in line 11 of those, totaling just shy of $250,000. And then the Conservation Stewardship Program hit $3,992,000, covering 71,676 acres. And Russ County did very well in that area. We actually had almost half of those with 16 contracts, totaling $760,000, covering 3,457 acres in just Russ County. So with all the turmoil and changes in funding cycles, ultimately it shook out overall really, really well for the counties that I cover, and Russ County had a lot of, program interest there. Far as FY26 goes, I don't know if you follow the news, but the Farm Bill expires September 30th. I have not heard of a new Farm Bill or a Farm Bill extension. However, forget the official name. It's calling it the Triple B bill that was passed this summer, the big, beautiful bill. Did set some top line numbers for EQIP and CSP only. And those look like, promising outlays for the next 10 years, that funding levels would remain the same or actually slightly increased from what the previous Farm Bill was. However, not sure what's going to happen to the portion of funding that was laid out in the Inflation Reduction Act, as some of that's being repealed or adjusted, and a good chunk of NRCS dollars had been coming from that. But that being said, EQIP and CSP at the very minimum are still, looks like they're going to be funded in some form. Don't know what the exact program rollout's going to be for like screening and ranking of applications, but we do know as of today, unless something changes, FY26, the sign up deadline for EQIP, so the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, which is our flagship program. That's the one where a lot of people think about, oh, we have a gully in the field, we can get cost share for a grass waterway, or we have an issue with a farmstead, we can attempt to get cost share for a roof or concrete, something like that. Invasive species control. So that's our flagship program. The sign up deadline is gonna be October 31st. Shouldn't call it a sign up deadline, really a batching date. Everyone who's applied by October 31st will be considered for our first round of funding in FY26. Typically, we'll announce a second batching deadline later in the year, like May 15th or something along those lines. And then anyone who's applied since October 31st to May 15th, if there are funds left, they'll be eligible to, compete for those as well. So that being said, for a while there, I was kind of indicating like everyone who applied was getting funded there for a minute. That was not the case this year. There's a significant backlog. I don't know exactly how many applications I have just for Russ County right now, but my total numbers are well into the triple digits across all the counties. So a lot of farms are seeking assistance for everything from cover crops to invasive species control, timber marking, soil erosion, of course. And there's been kind of an uptick in dairy farm expansion, and there's been a lot of interest in closing old manure pits and building new ones. So that's how we kind of get to some of these higher threshold numbers is, we work with one producer on a brush management contract to control buckthorn, and it's a $2,000 contract. We work with one producer on a dairy expansion, it's a max $450,000 contract. So dollar numbers can be deceiving. I like to really focus on the fact that we funded, you know, 28 contracts here in the county. You know, that's 28 unique farms we've worked with, regardless of how much money we were putting at those projects. So that was pretty good. And there's that many or more interested in next cycle. So as far as staffing goes, there's a hiring freeze that we're not exempt from, in effect until October 15th. That being said, NRCS has started to do internal transfers of employees to cover retirements and the mass resignations that we faced earlier this year. And our local office is being caught up in that. So I had informed Nick a couple weeks ago, but I have been transferred to central Wisconsin. So I will be running the Stevens Point and Wisconsin Rapids offices starting October 1st. The replacement that's coming up to here, she lives down by Cadott. Her name is Amanda Peters. She is a very experienced conservationist. She has worked for, I believe, DACAP and counties previously and has been with NRCS for like 4 or 5 years. So you're going to be in very good hands going forward, as well as the Medford office remains fairly well staffed at this time. So between the two, it shouldn't see any lapse in, well, there just won't be a lapse in coverage. So it's kind of not allowed. And I guess with that, do you guys have any questions going forward about what FY26 is or what FY25 looked like or any of that kind of stuff?
Well, congratulations on moving. I know you wanted to move last year.
Yeah, so I think I had told most of you are new, like I had an ascending aortic aneurysm last year. And when they told me I was moving to a place with like better and more medical care, I didn't fight too hard. So I'm gonna miss working up here. There's been a lot of great relationships that I've made. I've been here for either as a resource conservationist or district conservationist for 7 years. So it flew by. Just seems like yesterday. I think you and I both started right about
Same time.
same time. So it's both our faults if something didn't get done, or all the good things are both our faults too. So that's one way to look at it.
So everybody gets the Knicks confused. I don't think they'll get
Yeah, we,
confused.
Well, one of the first years I got a real tongue lashing till I found out the guy had the wrong Nick, and I was like, oh, thank God. You get to go redo this whole conversation and piss someone off. So it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, wrong Nick. But yeah, so it's been really great. Gonna miss it up here. My wife and I kind of dug into the community pretty quick, and I coached baseball and basketball, and she was a school teacher, and it was just everything was humming along, and then life throws you some real curveballs. So gonna miss it up here.
we're gonna miss you.
Yep.
Sure.
For your services.
Yeah, well, we're gonna keep her rolling though, and I'm not quite gone, so I'll be able to keep an eye on things from afar just to make sure bad happens.
Before you do take off, we should sit down and touch base.
Yes. So my plan, so not to get too personal, but my plan, I will have Amanda Peters will be starting, I think it's September, I can't remember if the 20th or 22nd is a Monday. So we will have that entire week of overlap. So maybe the 21st through the 25th, somewhere in there, we'll set up a meeting and I'll introduce you to Amanda, who you may have met because she was the person when I was out for 6 weeks last summer, post-surgery. She was the main one who stepped up. So she has some pretty decent knowledge of what's going on in the county because she was here for a month and a half during the midst of the busiest time, June last year. So.
The rainfall simulator.
Oh yeah, that was a real interesting dealio. Thank you for showing interest in the rainfall simulator. However, all the staff that ran that either retired or were terminated in February, shortly right around the time when actually you guys put in the request. And it was about 2 days or the day before that I realized we were still on the agenda for that and it was not clearly communicated. We have since, as part of those critical vacancy transfers, they have moved a new area soil scientist to Altoona, Shauna Repking, who is going to be getting the rainfall simulator back up and running and should be available next summer for either we're going to be trying to target those same type of either like county fair type things or really trying to get involved with the locally led watershed
Producer-led
the
group.
producer led groups to do demonstrations. It's the county fairs have been good because you get a lot of folks and the kids get really into it. We seem to get the most traction when we go to producer led or like a field day that like if co-op put one on, then everyone there's a farmer thinking about these things. And then if you go to one of those, it's like, oh, I also know the seed dealer for cover crop seed, or, you know, we're there to discuss, you know, pasture and rotational grazing or whatever. So that'll be an option going forward. So sorry about a lack of communication. Actually, it was a Facebook post that my wife saw. She's like, oh, you're going to be at the fair? I'm like, what are you talking about? It says you're at the fair. I'm like, no, what? So yeah, that happened. Sorry about that. I knew something was gonna slip through the cracks, and apparently it was our commitment to being at your county fair. So I apologize. Rarely do I apologize for things, but that one was, yeah, not great.
So then we schedule it through Amanda or?
Yes, Amanda would be the first person to contact, and then we'll get it down to our area office. Shauna just started like a week or two ago, so we gotta let her get her feet under her, and but she reached out yesterday to come up here to meet with our staff in the county as well. So that'll be a good contact. So yeah, we lost 33% of our staff in about a 2-week span, which I would have argued we were already slightly understaffed for the work that we had coming in, especially on the technician and engineering side of things. And to have that happen, it's going to be interesting moving forward. Put it that way.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna head out.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, I can stay for the FSA update if.
I was just gonna, yeah.
Enjoy the Santa.
I did not have time to really look to see from FSA. I don't know if you have anything that you.
Yeah,
share.
I can say that we're still under the alternative staffing model. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, staff from Barron. So everybody retired that was in FSA here. And so the staff from Barron is coming over Tuesdays and Thursdays. Again, as soon as the hiring freeze is over, I would assume that would be a high priority for permanent full-time staff
Who
back
who
there.
is that comes over from Barron?
Well, Sarah McDonald is the county executive director, so it's usually her and then there's like 4 program techs. So Sarah Berg, Jordan, I'm not even gonna try her last name, Ulrich or so. There's a few different gals that'll circle through, but Sarah's the kind of the one constant. So she's the executive director here. So with that, I'm sure they have other various programs and signups going.
Well, what I'll do is I could reach out to Sarah
Yeah.
for our next meeting and maybe if it's on well.
Yeah, and I'll get you Amanda's because I didn't see an email for this one. I was just kind of had it on the calendar that this Tuesday should be the meeting. So make sure we get that contact list good.
Yeah, we added you. I realized afterwards we added.
Sure. Sounds good.
Distribution.
Yep, no problems there. Well, excellent. Any other questions? Well, thank you guys. You have a good one.
Thank you.
Let's see, land conservation development, as far as zoning goes, last month or as of yesterday, at 258 land use permits, which is actually still slightly above our long-term average. Sanitary permits are at 76, which is right at the 2017 to 2020 average, so a little bit below our long-term average. RV permits are at 384. And we did 9 addresses last month for the addressing. Just a quick report we did. Land Conservation worked with Community Garden and Kathy, and we were involved fairly heavily with the Lambeau Farm Fun weekend during the fair. I thought it was a success. I mean, I think it went pretty well. A few of the sessions that I did were attended. One of them wasn't, but
Ralph attended.
yeah.
Yeah, bus tour was
Bus tour was a big success.
a big success, yeah.
Everything I've seen and the comments from folks was very enjoyable. Some folks, they learned some things. And I think some of the comments, they wanted to make sure that we were going to do it again next year. So overall, I think it was a great thing. And I think over the winter, Kathy and I can work together on kind of tweaking it and, you know, picking the dates and the venues and the presentations and really make it something worthwhile. So.
And some of the presentations you put together for that, you've already been able to use again,
Right.
right?
Right.
The, like
And so
shoreline.
if nothing else, it allowed me to put some presentations together that I had been meaning to do anyway. So now I sort of have things ready to go. If I ever, if anybody calls, hey, we need a presentation on bats this afternoon. So, right, here we go. And I was able to, or as part of that, I made a bat house, a single chamber bat house. But I made it so that the front panel can be pulled off. So it's got pins in it. So I can open it up and show folks, all right, this is what the inside of the house looks like. And this is how you want to make it. And so then I've been using that at our farmers market booth when we do a booth there. Huge draw. It's amazing the attention that gets as folks walk by. They see that bat house sitting there, and I bought a big poster from the Wisconsin Zoological Society with all the native bats in Wisconsin. It's a big, long, 5 feet long. The combination of that bat poster and the bat house is a magnet to people. It's amazing. Everybody that walks by, they see that and they want to talk about that. Well, then once you get them talking about that, well, then you can talk about other things, so it leads to other conversations. So if nothing else, that was a great outcome from that weekend. So
That's because nobody likes mosquitoes.
yeah, the conversation generally is, we want bats around, but I don't want them in my house.
Yeah.
Is generally the way those conversations go. Well, that's fine. That starts that conversation, and then you can talk about the bat house and what the purpose is. And if you build the bat house and they start using that, then they're not going to be in your house. So.
You have that plan, or where did you get the plan from, or can you put
You can find them online. They're
Yeah.
all over the place.
I mean, the DNR has.
Yeah, and then I actually put together a couple of flyers with the plans in them, so I can give them to folks. I've got them printed out, and if somebody wants, I've got 2 different flyers. One is for a single chamber bat house, and one is for more of a nursery winter style bat box that's got 4 chambers in it. So if anybody wants, and I actually almost ran out of, I printed, I think 10 out for the farmer's market last weekend. And I handed almost all of them out to folks that they wanted them, so. And I don't remember if I had talked about this before, but they're kind of what prompted all of this way back was I sat in on a presentation from somebody, and he was, quoting some research from a guy at University of Chicago, Illinois. And he had looked at the spread of white nose fungus and the decline in bat populations and how that affected other things. So he was looking at counties that had a strong bat population. And in those same counties, when white nose fungus moved in and the bat population got decimated, he was looking at agricultural production and other factors, social factors. And he found across the board, every county he looked at, a very strong correlation between the decline in bat populations and an increase in egg production costs because they're using more pesticides, which led to an increase in human infant mortality. So the decline in the bat populations is correlated to decline in or an increase in infant mortality. So we need bats on the landscape, and that's sort of what prompted all of this right from the start. So far, the response has been good, and we're just going to keep pushing it. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight or mention is we've been working on this book, and it actually started. Rachel and I started it last year, and Heather is taking it over the finish line. But what we're doing is we're putting together a book that we can provide to folks or sell even that has plants that are good for native buffers, native plants for Rusk County that are good for native buffers, pollinator habitat, rain gardens. And so we're putting it together. And you know, it'll look something like this, where we'll have all the plants, native plants, listed by bloom color, bloom time, soil requirements, light requirements, moisture requirements,
Zone.
height. We're working on zone. We'll get that in. But basically just an all-in-one resource that we can give to folks and say, all right, you're doing a native buffer here. They can look through and they can pick their plant mix that they want for their buffer or their pollinator habitat, whatever it might be, match that to their soil conditions and their sun or shade, and be able to stagger the bloom time so that they have blooms all year round. So far, I mean, in a couple of different places, I've kind of previewed it to some folks. And when I've done that, the response has been overwhelmingly positive, more than I even I thought it would be. I know the one presentation I gave, everybody was like, "Oh, when can I get it? When's it going to be out? Where's it going to be available?" And it's just a bombardment of questions about how they can get a hold of it. So we're working on finishing it up. I'm hoping maybe by the end of the year we'll have it all done and ready to publish or bind, whatever we're going to do with it. And then we'll be able to make it available to folks. So
I do think you could sell it for the.
based on the response that I've gotten from folks, not only at that one presentation, but at the farmer's market Saturday, I don't think there would be any problem at all selling. People would want to have that as a reference.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So
You want to be responsible to your land. Right now, most people go, oh, I can plant this or this, right? And look through there and say, you got lots of choices, lots of colors. You know, most people don't know that, you know.
and I think the biggest driver of doing this would be for folks to be able to match the plants to their site. You know, so many times folks will say, hey, I want to plant coneflowers, you know, well, it's a wet shaded area. Coneflower is not going to grow well, you know, so they're not successful. They get frustrated, whatever.
Yeah.
Hopefully with this, they can look through and say, oh, well, that's not going to do well in this spot, but this one would. And I like this flower.
It's a lot of extra work, but if you could put in there too, what's deer,
Resistant.
yeah, less, yeah.
Yeah, that might be hard to come by, you know, I don't know.
The UW Extension has a nice, I can bring it to you. They have a nice list of, I think it's plants not preferred by deer. I don't think there's anything is deer resistant, but you know, I have some resources on that I can bring you.
Yeah, if we can get some of that in there. I mean, any information about the plants that we can put in here, I think is useful in the long run.
Well, like you had mentioned zones, like that's something I never thought of. And then you go to Walmart and you're looking at stuff and it's like, oh, this is an entire zone. Why are they selling it here?
I mean,
Because you'll buy it and then you'll buy it again next year because it's back.
yeah, you know, there's quite a few plants actually that are sold as an annual here, but they're really a perennial.
Oh, yeah.
Zone 9 is perennial, but here it's an annual. Unless you put it in a pot and bring it inside.
Oh, and even like the city can do 4 to 5, whereas out, in the country, you really need 3. And so even in our area, there's a lot of
Mhm.
variety based on where you're living and how warm it is. Dale will tell you that. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think that's what I have for water. Can we just keep going?
going.
All right.
Can I ask a quick question? So this might not be germane to this group, but, so John did not take the zoning administrator?
No, I'll,
Oh, is that coming up?
That's down there.
Staffing updates, all right,
yeah, I'll get that in just a minute.
all right.
We do have an animal waste storage application. It's actually just a reapplication for the 4 Mile hog farm. Same plan, same nutrient management plan, same land area. Same, conditions that were put on the permit. So it's just a reapplication for that manure pit. So,
Where's that, Michelle?
it's just west of Sheldon, off of D. It's County Line Road.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, not D, County Line Road.
That's been pending for years.
Yeah, they actually, the original application was from 2021, 22, I believe. And they renewed it 1 year. Hadn't started anything, and so they're basically looking to renew it now. But they have to pay the fee to renew it. So they've done that. I have their application here. So all we would need to do is approve it.
I think the people who are involved in that, I think that might have shifted a little bit.
It shifted a little bit. It's still the same core group,
Okay.
but some of the individuals have shifted.
Yeah. Ready, care to make a motion? Second,
Yes, I'll second it.
discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
See, out of county travel, just one thing, there's a seminar over in Rice Lake Thursday coming up on lake response to climate change. I'd like to run over and attend that.
Make that motion for you to attend.
So it's like, oh,
There's a second and a third already, so.
Second.
Discussion?
is it all lakes or is it just how?
It's just in general, Wisconsin lakes and their response to changes in climate.
Who's putting it on?
It's a professor from, I think he's from the UW Eau Claire Barron campus.
Nothing else? All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried.
Project reimbursements, that's this sheet here. I threw it together yesterday, just to kind of break down what we've got. We've got 2 well abandonments reimbursed and an integrated shoreline protection project where they did some revetment along with some restoration of native buffer above that on the shore. And then for the shoreline program, we've got those listed there: rain garden and buffer, a revetment and buffer planting, a couple of revetment buffer plantings, and a rain garden.
What's up with the highlighted one?
Oh, that's a partial reimbursement because they're doing their revet. It's too late in the year really to get the buffer planting done now. But they did the revetment. And then we're gonna do the buffer planting in the spring.
This would be a separate one from the first one. No, this all,
What's that?
yeah, your motion on this then? Or-
Yeah, just if you approve, we can do the reimbursement for these.
Second. I'll second it for a change. Won't let them argue about it.
I'm just curious on why is the well $2,189? Must have been a deep one or?
That well, yes, it was a big well and it was,
I just,
look here, it was deep. It was 200 and some feet, I believe.
Sounds like mine. It's 210.
3 gallons a minute.
It's slow, yeah. I run out of water almost every day. You say it's not slow, it just recovers. really
Yeah,
slow.
it was a 6-inch casing that was 208 feet deep.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Curious on that. That's the highest one I've seen.
yeah, generally they're never that big. Usually it's a 4-inch casing that's 80 feet deep.
It's an older well or whatever, so it's like, yeah, it's shallow and it's small.
And the landowner pays a percentage, is that how that?
Yeah, so if you look across there, the SWRM grant, DATCAP grant will pay the 70%, 2189. Our county well program will pay 30% up to $300. That's that 300. And then the landowner, he had to pay 638. That's a lot of bentonite.
Yeah.
Know what you used
We
to,
can call for the
That's
vote
what
on
they
that,
do,
didn't we?
bentonite chips.
okay, yeah, we used to use powder and bet knife, directional drill. And
I referred to you often.
Oh, yeah, up to. Yeah, what they do is usually they dig around, dig down and cut the casing off and they'll pull the pump in the pipe.
Yeah.
And cut it off below grade level and then fill it with bentonite and cap the whole thing with concrete.
First of all, I'll do the math on how much cubic feet, 6 inches by 200, whatever feet is deep. So you know that you don't have a void in your casing. I know when you turn in your paperwork, you have to show that math of how much bentonite you used equals
Yeah,
the well. Otherwise you could get bridge and not completely have a full casing.
59 and a half bags of bentonite.
Jeez.
Yep.
So the third one here, the integrated shoreline protection.
Yep.
Shoreland, Graham, what's the difference between?
Just, it was a bigger project and we could get more cost share to the landowner. Generally, like you see the shoreline program there, generally that's the cost that we're looking for just to get as many of those smaller projects done that we can. And that one was a bigger project, so.
They got less. Oh, I got you. Okay.
Anything else? All those in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Carried.
The budget review, we sent that in the packet, all the budget sheets. We did print out a couple, trying to save trees, but we did print out 3 hard copies if anybody wants to look at them. Just to go through each one, county-owned dams, everything is on track. Reimbursement is through the power line, so power line fund.
I'll take one. Did look them over in the computer, but as long as you're gonna go through them a little bit.
I did them on my clock this morning.
Oh, yeah, no concerns there. Wildlife damage, that's basically a pass-through. Whatever we get charged from USDA, we get reimbursed from DNR. NACD is closed out. There's no more charges for that this year. I did see that they just came out with an announcement for the grant program for 2026. I'm evaluating now whether or not to apply for that NACD grant for 2026. But for 2025, this one's been closed out since June. The tree and plant sales takes care of itself. Basically, there is a fund balance right now of $5,700 in that. So we generally are able to cover our expenses and at least keep that fund balance even. So no concerns there.
They don't take that away from you?
What's that?
They don't take that away?
No, it's a carryover fund to support the tree and plant sale program, as well as if we have an overrun in well decommissioning or swarm budget, pull a little bit from that if we need to. Well decommissioning, we're basically right now, we're almost at our limit for that program. So I think we have enough left to do maybe one more well abandonment. One more well abandonment that we can fund with this county program. And then we'll be at our $3,000 limit. We can still do well abandonments, 70% that cap. Excuse me. But we can't do the county portion to add on to that. So.
And you're current on all of the ones that were in the works on those?
I think we've got 3 more that are contracted, but not done yet.
So, but you can pay for one
Yeah,
of those 3?
We're covered up to what we have sort of planned right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Special projects budget, basically that's a combination of the farmer-led, producer-led group, the DNR trim grant and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife grant. Have no concerns there. I am going to be doing a reimbursement request to both Fish and Wildlife and trim in November. So we can get caught up. We have 1 more year on each of those. So those 2, the Fish and Wildlife and trim, will go through 2026. But I will be doing a reimbursement, a partial reimbursement, November. For the Devil's Creek stuff, we have shoreland protection project in the works, barnyard. We just did a crossing, and we're working on a possible wildlife scrape wetland restoration with exclusion fencing. So in that Devil's Creek watersheds. Non-metallic mining, again, kind of pays for itself. The mining fees cover the cost of that program. So no concerns there. Shoreland program, we'll probably run right up into our $10,000 limit cap on that one. That's our expenditure limit. There, we're trying to maximize as many projects as we can under that 10,000. We're in good shape with that one. SWRM cost sharing, that's basically our bond and seg money that we use for projects from DATCAP. No concerns there. We've got plenty of funding for both the hard practices, the bond money, as well as the seg money. We're contracted, or IAM, I guess, the county. We're doing a pretty good sized nutrient management plan for one landowner. And so there'll be some reimbursement back to the county for that. And that's going to take a significant chunk of that seg money. The SWRM budget, no concerns. We're on track. The reimbursement for that budget occurs in February of the following year, so we have our expenses that go on the books in 2025, but won't be reimbursed until 2026 when that reimbursement is submitted, but we're on track to stay under that allocation as well, so. Overall, I think the budgets look pretty good this year. We're at or below, at least for land conservation, we're at or below expenditures for all of them. And 2026 looks even better actually, because they are upping at least for 1 year, they're upping the SWRM allocation from DATCP. So we're gonna have quite a bit more available for our staffing and support in 2026, so. Things look pretty good, and the same goes for some of the other budgets in the department. Land information, it's gonna be a significant increase in that budget as well. So I think we're in a real good shape right now. I'm pretty happy with where we're at.
I have to ask, how long does it take your department to do those sheets? I would imagine most of it is auto-loaded, the last figures.
I have it set up so, most of these numbers don't change up
Yeah.
here, so I have it set so they're already in the spreadsheet, so it probably took me half an hour, 45 minutes maybe, just all of them.
Curious.
Don't forget, I need to have you sign these.
If I'm what I've been told.
Oh, all right, whatever.
Well, that's part of the mess in the courthouse. Nobody knows what's going on. I didn't say that.
And recording now.
Staffing updates, just to let you know, of course, the zoning administrator and the zoning technician, they both retired at the end of July. So we're looking to get that squared away. Heather has shown an interest in stepping into that zoning technician role. And so we'll be hopefully finalizing that in October at the October personnel meeting. Heather can step into that role and take over there. I think at least for the short term, we'll leave the administrative assistant position open for now and get these other positions in place and comfortable, and then we'll reevaluate that administrative assistant position. The zoning administrator position is in flux. We're trying to get John situated, John Runstrom, in that position. He did not take the position at the rate that was offered initially. I understand according to the handbook that they are required to start at whatever that step 1 is for that position. To be very blunt, that step 1 is an insult. Especially someone who can come in with that level of experience and training and certifications. And so what I am going to do is I'm going to ask the zoning committee to at least make a recommendation to personnel to set that interim zoning administrator rate at something higher. And if it is at the rate that I'm asking, I've talked with John and he will take on that interim role, but for now he is not going. He's helping out. He's keeping day-to-day operations going. But he doesn't have to. And so it's a real concern right now.
Is the position posted?
Is, and we've had one applicant, and that applicant did not meet the requirements in the posting as posted.
Is it posted open till filled? Or what?
That I don't know. I don't know what actually, how she worded it.
That'll be on this afternoon's zoning.
Yeah. So that is the state of things in the office right now.
Was there anybody available that can do the soil testing? Up to
John.
John can, okay.
Yeah, he has all those certifications. He's got the training, he's got the experience.
Thought he did, so.
You know, it would be a real good fit. We just need to make it work.
But he doesn't want to apply for the job. He just wants to do it interim.
He possibly would, yeah, I mean, but I guess my most immediate concern is getting an interim zoning administrator, at least at a minimum, in place.
Maybe that's for this afternoon's meeting, but I mean, what's the pay that they have the job posted at the level that they offered John?
I'm sure it's a range probably from step one to, I don't know what that upper level is. It's,
I mean, right, somebody that has experience versus somebody just coming off the street. Well, I'll have to do some more research into that, or maybe this afternoon, talk.
yeah, well, I'll talk about more this afternoon in zoning, but, yeah, again, to be perfectly blunt, in the short term, even the midterm, we're not going to find somebody to fill that role. And I'll be perfectly honest.
That's a tough role to fill.
That's a very specialized position, specialized training, specialized certifications, and
thick skin.
thick skin. Yeah, and that's another factor in the pay there. I mean, I would invite anybody on the board to come spend a day or two with somebody in that position and to see what has to be dealt with on a day-to-day basis. $30 an hour is not gonna cut it. It's just not. So that's where we're at. That's what we're trying to do. But again, for now, we're keeping day-to-day operations moving. And we're treading water, so. And the last thing is, we've been talking about this for a year or so now, and, we still have a window open where we can do the wild rice rehabilitation on Lee Lake. We only need to draw the lake down about 3 feet, and the max rate we can draw down is 6 inches in a 24-hour period. So if we're only going down 3 feet,
Couple days.
yeah, I mean, it's 6 days. Within 6 days, we could draw it down to the level that we want. I've talked with some folks at DNR and some folks at Glyphwick up in Ashland. Both thought that this rehabilitation technique was a good idea, that it would work. The idea is you draw the lake down in the late summer, fall, and let it overwinter with the water down. And the idea is that kills the submerged aquatic plants that are competing with the rice. Exposing the soil like that kills those plants. The seed, rice seed, because rice is an annual, comes up from a seed every year. So the seed is still in the seed bank in the soil. So when you flood that in the spring, the rice seeds have the advantage because the other aquatic plants have been killed off. And you flood it in the spring, the rice can germinate and you can rehabilitate rice beds that way. So that's the concept. Like I said, both DNR and Glyphwick, they thought it was a good idea. They thought it would work. I've talked with Jacob Druffner, the DNR guy, got all the specifics on, the rate, the drawdown rate, and when we can do it. Have to be done before October 1st. So our window it's narrow, but it's closing. My thought was we can still do it. And I started working on an article for the paper about wild rice rehabilitation and sort of the preliminary plan for Lee Lake. I talked with Luke at the paper. If I can get the article to him midday today, it'll still make the paper this week. So my thought was get that article in the paper this week, have a public meeting next Tuesday evening, early evening, to talk about the plan, talk about wild rice. If the public has any questions, be there to answer those, and then start the drawdown on the 18th, which is Thursday. But we could start the drawdown on Thursday. If things go as planned, which they won't, but if things go as planned, the drawdown would be done by the weekend. At best.
What about the fish?
Well, that's why you only draw down 6 inches in 24 hours. So,
Over the winter? And
well,
the,
it's a flow through lake. It's the Little Thornapple River. So the river, we're only coming down 3 feet, so the main channel will still be there and open. Other places have talked about doing total drawdowns. I don't want to do that in this case. I think just a 3 foot, because rice can't grow in water deeper than 3 feet. And there's a big shelf in Lee Lake that is, the max depth is about 3 feet. So if we bring it down 3 feet, we're covering all the area where rice potentially would grow, and we're leaving the main channel open, basically. So that's the plan. I wanted to run it by you guys and sort of get your thoughts and final go ahead.
they're like a Lee Lake Association or anything.
No,
It's all county land, almost all, I think,
Pretty much
all county land,
Yeah.
all the way
Only
around,
private on that road.
around the lake. I know that there are folks that do duck hunt on that lake. It will affect that, but
It'll be fine for
if it
Help in the
works,
future.
It would, yeah.
if it works, it will increase production.
Yeah.
Rice is a very important food source for ducks, and cover for nesting ducks. So
it's a nice thing to have your public releases as soon as you can, so.
What time are you gonna have your public meeting?
I'm thinking 6 o'clock. 16.
You gonna try to have it here?
I'll have to check on the availability of the room, but
Me? Forestry, is that forestry?
Should be done by 6, I would hope.
you know, I'll look at the schedule. If needs be, we can that one way or the other to 7.
6 is good. Yeah, do you need a motion or what? Just to-
I think a motion would be in order.
My neck of the woods, so I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Opposed?
So is it gonna cost? Is it gonna cost you just to go out there and do the,
Time.
Just have
Just time.
boards.
Yeah, it's got stop logs in the dam, so we'll just have to go out every day and pull a stop log. We'll have to see how thick the logs are for.
Foot.
If they're a foot, then we'll have to take one and pull it up 6 inches. Let that go and then pull it up the rest of the way and then do the next one. So
And is there a screen on there or anything to keep, or you don't care if the fish flow through there and go out into the creek? I mean, it doesn't matter
No.
then, because they're same thing upstream, downstream, so it doesn't matter.
yeah, don't have a fish kill.
Uh-huh.
Don't have a fish kill.
shouldn't be.
Be bad.
Well, that was my question. I've not seen that before, yeah, but it wasn't like only a flow through when it was high water, then it would flow through, but when it was low water, then the creek could go dry. And the stop logs were pulled, and, 2 days later, there was, a bunch of fish laying in the rocks on the, because they couldn't make it down to the water part. they got caught up in the dry part, but this doesn't sound like that situation. It's wet on both sides, so they'll just flow into the creek.
I know we already voted, but so can you abort if, once you start pulling them,
Yeah,
something,
you might have to take
something
care
goes awry?
of your dams or something, but.
Yeah, I mean, if something goes wrong, basically we'll just stop pulling the logs and put the logs back in and.
Cause you're gonna be there every day to know if
Yeah,
somehow.
cause we're gonna have to monitor the rate that the water is going down. We'll be out there at least once, probably twice a day for a few days.
Anything else?
So I have,
Good.
That Lee Lake sign put up too.
yes, I know.
Oh, yeah, I've been thinking about that.
My wife reminds me every time I have a meeting.
Sitting in my office.
We're adjourned.
This would be a good time to do that too, because we're gonna be out there.
You'll be up there, you guys up.
Still remember when Bernice Dukershine was there and they shot those trumpeter swans up there. I've never seen that one.
Oh, I can believe it.
I'll come by later and get those other signs.
Yeah, they're just sit in my office.
Thank you for coming, Ralph.
Once for, just,
Thanks for your.
Nobody knows.
we know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somebody's probably, because trumpeter swans will go after your car like geese will. Trumpeter swans are even worse. I suppose somebody was had a gun and just got pissed.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody knows.
yeah, he said I'm taking it,
Long.
Down in also where my wife is from.
wrapping them.
There's a pair of swans that live on there in the city, had been for years. Somebody shot one of them with an arrow. Oh, you want to see the community get up in arms.
Only any different than them killing the weeds in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Checking my cameras to see if there's,
With the dogs and bears.
it's a lot of our,
Ralph,
I
thank you.
think it was population that we like to hunt. I understand